So the question is, what if you had to improve baseball?
So I feel like we have slandered baseball a lot in this podcast today.
I haven't. Marcus has a lot.
That's true. Marcus has particularly slandered baseball a lot in this podcast. And I'm going to say, what if I told you that baseball didn't actually need to be fixed? This sounds like I'm going to set you up and tell you how baseball is good. It's not. I don't actually like baseball that much, despite being the sports guy. But baseball has already been fixed, just not in the U.S. So, in 1907...
If you're going to tell me to play fucking cricket...
Not cricket. In 1907, a Finnish former Olympic track and field athlete named Lauri Pikala was studying in the U.S., and he attended a baseball game in Boston. And his thoughts after the game were as follows. Fascinating game, a bit slow though, which is pretty prescient, honestly. And he developed a sport based mostly on baseball in the 1920s as actually a military training exercise.
Uh-huh.
And that sport is called Pesäpallo. It is actually the national sport of Finland. It
still exists.
It still exists. It is still played. They're actually...
Until Finland sinks into the sea, it shall
They're
exist.
actually very into it in Finland. It's actually a really big deal in Finland. It's mostly like baseball with a few minor differences. It's still someone throwing a ball and someone hitting the ball with a bat, and there's still 3 bases and home plate. There's a couple of major differences, I guess, actually. And I'll mostly focus on those. But yeah, so as you both kind of mentioned, the biggest issue with baseball is that it's too slow. So every year since 2012, the average length of a baseball game has been over 3 hours in the Major League Baseball, which is absurd. And then even beyond just the total length, yeah, a lot of the time during it, there's not a whole lot happening, It only really gets exciting when the ball is put in play and people are running around and shit. So just length of time, the average length of a game of Pesäpallo, at least in 2014, that was the number I could find, was 2 hours, 18 minutes. So that's a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
So one other problem with the length of baseball too, and I'll get to the big rule change at some point, but I'm sort of lead you into these gently. There's kind of what I like to call the blowout problem in baseball, which say your team gets just absolutely shelled the first or second inning, you're down 12-0. You know that the team is going to lose, but you still have to sit through the other 7 innings of baseball. And there's technically they can come back, but it almost never happens. So, what if there was still something to play for? And Pesäpallo is still played in innings. There are 8 innings, but they're divided into 2 halves. And basically, in order to win, you have to win both halves. And then if one team wins one half and the other team wins the other, you do a 1 inning, extra inning thing. And there's a weird shootout thing after that that's very complicated and I didn't fully understand. But
so it's basically just 2 separate games.
Exactly. And you kind of got to win both of them, which is kind of nice. It's kind of you get blown up in the first inning. Well, still got the other one to play for. So that's cool. And let's get to sort of the more obvious changes. So let's talk about the design of the field, because that's kind of an important thing. So, in baseball, you have this 90-foot diamond where it's, 90 feet from home to first, and then first to second, the second to third, and third to home. In Pesäpallo, all these dimensions are a little approximate because I couldn't find an exact listing, but I did find a diagram with a legend on it that said how far 30 feet was. And I had to kind of work off of that. So the shape of the field is basically, think of when you draw a house when you're a kid and it's the square with a triangle on top.
Uh-huh.
It's that if the square were a long rectangle. So you basically have a triangle at that's the point, where the point of it is home plate, and then it's a 120 feet there's long sides coming out from home plate that are 150 feet long, and then a shorter side that's 120 feet long between them. And then it extends past that as the outfield. So you might be thinking, hey, Ben, you said there were 4 bases, but then you said it's a triangle. What the fuck? So, first base is, if you look left of that triangle, about halfway up that line, so 70 feet away or so, is first base. Then second base is the right corner, about 120 feet away from that. So yes, you're running back across the field to second base. Third base is then 120 feet straight across the field, back to the other left corner of the triangle. And then home plate, you just run sort of down, around, and it winds up being about 140, 150 feet. So that's, pretty weird. And you're probably thinking, hey, so how does pitching work? Because the first to second baseline is right in the middle of the diamond. Or, triangle, whatever. So the pitcher, and this is where things get a little buck wild, the pitcher actually stands next to the batter and throws the ball straight up.
Yay! Thanks, Dad.
So the pitcher, instead of throwing away or standing far away and throwing the ball at them, they stand right next to them and they have to throw it at least a meter above their head and then get out of the way. And
Run
basically,
out of the way.
Yeah, basically you get 3 strikes, but a strike is just any time when you hit the ball, you don't actually have to run if you don't want to, unless it's your 3rd strike. If you just don't run, it just counts as a strike until you get the hit you want. And the idea is basically that it's about trying to place your hits where you want them to be to advance runners. And it goes much faster because the ball always goes in play.
So my original solution is
actually
very
pretty
good.
close to
And everyone should just
the excellent finished version of baseball.
the finished version, if you will.
Exactly. And then sort of a nice other little extra wrinkle. I know you brought the fact that half the players aren't even on the field, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
So one fun thing about Pace Apollo is that all of the players on the batting team who are not currently batting stand in a half circle around the batter and pitcher and heckle the pitcher.
I was gonna ask
role.
if the pitcher could heckle the batter while they were tossing the ball to them.
Nope.
You fucking suck. But no, I guess it goes the other way.
Yep. And apparently it's a very exciting game because it's a lot of... Oh, hold on. There's also some other fun rules. So actually, there's not home runs traditionally. If you actually hit the ball too far, so the field extends out 315 feet, which is a little shorter than the outfield walls in most baseball stadiums. If you hit it past that, it's actually a foul ball. But if you reach third base, that's a home run. And what's fun about it too is that so you get to third base, your team gets a run, and then you stay on third base and can still score from there.
Oh, double runs.
But it also involves running way further than a home run. I think is actually I think. Right, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, 70. Math is hard. Hold on. It's 70. Oh no, it's a little shorter. Because it'd be like 310 feet. So pretty far, but I guess doable. I don't know.
I mean, it's got to be an infield home run every time now.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, so really, I think that overall, Pace Apollo solves basically all the problems we have with baseball. Because it's shorter, it's more exciting, there's heckling as almost part of the rules, which is excellent. What's the other thing? Oh, also, so the way that the managers communicate with their teams, they have these little fans of colored, there's 6 or 7 different colored little flags on them they put up in different arrangements to tell them things.
Oh, one flag says B and one flag says better.
Right. Yes. That's exactly how it goes.
Stop that.
Yeah. So yeah, I would argue that every problem that exists in baseball already has been solved by Pace Apollo. And I think we could implement at least some of these in actual baseball without anyone, people would notice, but I don't care. Because it'll be more fun.
Yeah,
to
they
watch.
might notice the bases.
Yeah, the bases would probably be a pretty big tip-off.
All problems have been solved, but it hasn't caught on.
Yeah.
Also, it's funny because you listed the 4 problems that it solves, and it's literally my list of 4 problems I had.
Yep. I noticed that when you said your question.
So you didn't really answer the question. You just stole someone else's answer.
So this is where we get to an absurd reality, which is we could improve baseball by playing a different sport. The end.
Yes. Just don't play baseball.
Don't play baseball. Play this more fun version of baseball instead.
We are, as you might say, finished. Yeah, I made the same joke twice. Get fucked.